This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Khurram Shahzad, who's a dear friend, hails from Pakistan, and I want to talk to him about Pakistan-India relationship and many other issues. So thank you very much, Khurram, for coming here. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you for having me on your show, Frank.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about yourself and your TV show and all the things which you're doing and so on and so forth. And then we'll talk about the Pakistan-India relationship.
Sure. I am a journalist by passion. I grew up in a very journalist environment.
Sure.
When I was in 7th grade, my brother was working for Daily Mashriq, which was the leading newspaper at times. And then he started his own newspaper. And we had a newspaper at home, and I saw the full life cycle of a newspaper right in my home.
So journalism is in your DNA.
In my DNA, and I started writing a newspaper for national newspaper and magazine when I was in grade 7.
Wow.
And the journalism was always there somewhere inside of me.
Okay, but do you write for some of the newspapers here in this country, for
Yes.
Pakistan newspaper, and also do you have a TV show? Tell me a little bit about that to the audience.
Sure. I'm bureau chief for US Urdu News,
US Urdu.
Which is for the US audience. So it is all over the US. And then I am a correspondent for Washington, D.C. For Ab Tak TV, which is...
Okay, and that's the
Pakistan
TV in Pakistan?
In Pakistan.
Ab Tak?
Ab Tak.
Is it a very large channel?
It is very huge project all over the world. It is in Europe, US, and Pakistan now.
All over the world.
All
Also
over the
Middle
world.
Eastern countries as well?
Yeah, it is there on the Middle Eastern countries. Yes.
Very good. Now, as you probably know, that it is in the interest of India to make sure that Pakistan is stable, secure, and safe, and so that they can promote trade, commerce, investment. Considering what happened this morning, the Pakistan government, or the court, as I understand, bailed out the terrorist that was masterminded the Mumbai terrorist attack. How do you see a brighter horizon for the relationship between India and Pakistan?
Okay, so I will give you a little background before
Sure.
I come back to the answer. When Indian Prime Minister Modi took over the office, Pakistani Prime Minister called him, congratulated him.
And he went there.
And he went there, and they had very meaningful dialogues in which Pakistan proposed India for the continuity of peace dialogues. But later on, when Pakistan initiated the peace talks between the country, Mr. Modi stepped away. I mean, probably he has to fulfill his promises which he had made during the election campaign, and that was to teach Pakistan a lesson. And then we saw a series of actions like removal of UN military observer group on Kashmir, suspension of bilateral dialogues, and greater Modi plan to bring all the punters back to Kashmir, so on and so forth. Frankly speaking, when we look into these steps, Mr. Modi is actually stepping away from India's main stance, which says that Kashmir is one of the problems. But we fought 3 major wars, and 2 of them was on Kashmir. So which means Kashmir is not one of the problems. Kashmir is the problem. And rule of thumb, 80% of the problems are coming from 20% source. If we solve Kashmir, we will.
But you can't really solve the Kashmir so quickly. I mean, it's been going on.
How are we going to solve it? Because we promised Kashmiri people that there will be a referendum.
Yeah, but it hasn't occurred.
It never happened.
But you have been dealt a card. You got to figure out how to play your card. You don't have a trump card.
I mean, the problem with Pakistan is we were always having some trouble with democratic systems, so it was always derailing. But fortunately, in recent years, like 5 years, 6 years, we are on the track, and that's why Pakistan wanted to have good relationship at least with India.
It's very important to have Pakistan.
We have to work together.
I agree with that part totally. They are in this together. Now, can you shed some light the massacre that occurred in Peshawar?
Oh my God!
Do you believe that this will unite the Pakistani people to fight the terrorism? This is not what Islam teaches people to do that.
You'll be surprised that we are getting more support from Indian people, from
yes.
India.
Yeah, it should resonate well with the Pakistani people that India is concerned about this.
And yesterday there was Vigil, candlelight
in Delhi.
In Delhi, and same at the
about
same
this
time
Peshawar
in
incident.
Circle,
okay.
And Peshawar. And everywhere you see not only Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan,
They are united
all
together.
united together for this disease, this cancer.
This case is very well
It
said.
is so tragic that barbaric, unhuman act they have done, and no, this is kind of a good the step. Like we see the progress because of the Operation Zarb Harb that is in the northern Waziristan. Like they are so weak, they cannot fight with the army. No, they're going after the soft targets. But let me tell you something. This is not going to last long.
It's not.
It's not going to
It's
last
going to
long.
unite the Pakistani people to fight against the terrorism
they
or
will
this
fight
barbaric act?
And government of Pakistan has reinstated death penalty.
Okay.
And now, yesterday, the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he said there is no distinction between good Taliban and bad Taliban. No, everybody has to be under the same umbrella, and we will get them and we'll then kill them. And this is the passion. I mean, this is everybody is united on the same table now.
Well, I hope so. I think it is about time for Pakistan to stand against the terrorism. This is not what Islamic faith teaches us.
Exactly.
Islamic faith always taught us equality, dignity, tolerance, and respect for
One
others.
human life
Is precious to all of us.
all of that.
Now let's talk about the NATO forces. The President Obama announced it that the forces are going to be gone pretty soon from Afghanistan. What do you think is going to happen when they're gone?
Actually, the military, Pakistan military,
Which is a highly respected in
Very
Pakistan.
yes, and it is the establishment and the other agencies, they had prepared long before
Okay.
this departure. And there has been a continuous study and continuous working relationship with India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and United States, because they are on the same, they share the same interests, which
Sure.
is the peace in this country. And then there will be
Peace in the region you're talking
in the
about.
whole region.
Yeah.
Yes. So the studies had been done, and they have went through many other things. Like the U.S. has promised they will not do the same mistake that they did after Soviet,
Withdrawal.
war. Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the two items. The protests which is going on. Imran Khan has been very much of an advocate of it and so on and so forth. And that's number one question. Number second question is, Pakistan always stood to the fact that the minorities that makes the fabric of their nation should be part of the social, economic, political fabric of their country. But they're not treated well right now, especially the minority, especially the Christians. But this is not what Pakistan stands for. So shed light on both items to the audience.
Sure. Okay. So I will talk to the Imran Khan protests.
Yes.
But actually, yesterday, Imran Khan decided
is
to
it-
stop all the protests because
he-
of this incident.
Okay, so this will unite them together
whole
to fight
country,
against the terrorism?
terrorists.
Then maybe that's the best thing that ever happened.
Yes, and these protests, actually, if you see, all of these protests were very peaceful, and they were fighting to bring the change in the country, because we are all tired of seeing the same people for last 3 decades at least. And we know that every big change comes with a price, and Pakistan is paying price now for a better future tomorrow. Now, coming back to the change, I don't see much of the progress in near future, but Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which is PTI, Imran Khan's party, they might have a luck in 10 years, after 10 years or so, because it's a slow process for the change. And
So he has to wait for his turn.
I mean, we want to get, I'm not affiliated with PTI or any
Okay.
other political parties.
Sure.
But, I am affiliated with my country. So whatever is best for the interest of the country, we should be following. So we need a change at this moment.
Okay.
These crises on these minorities,
Yeah, especially the Christians.
Christian, Ahmadis,
Yeah. And the
many-
Shiite, in
and
the
the
Shiite.
Shias in some of the regions, but it is very shocking to see all this series of events in a very small time frame. And but if you look into the realities, I'm telling you the real realities. The reality is most of these crimes were done for personal reasons and then framed into blasphemy. But frankly speaking, I will blame electronic media to broadcast it without enough evidences, and then uneducated people take matter into their own hands, and things get worse and worse. Government of Pakistan is doing its best, but again, I mean, it takes time. The crisis.
But you're against what they're doing, this kind of a violence which is happening against the minorities.
When our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went to Makkah after victory, he treated equally for all people. So there was no minority. There were no this is he's a minority and he will be slave. No, they were all equally treated.
So he built the bridges of understanding and cooperation with the various faiths.
And if you see,
that's what Islamic faith teaches.
Islamic faith. Okay. And if you see the Pakistani flag, the white color is for minority, but because of some very unfortunate incidents, we are very far away from.
So let's talk about the Pakistani diaspora in this country. There's a fairly large number of the Pakistani American in this country. How do you think they can help to overcome some of the challenges that the Pakistan faces?
Pakistani Americans, they are actually already helping Pakistan by sending money to their families in Pakistan.
Okay, so the remittance is playing an important role.
And it is in billions then.
It is in billions.
And a lot of young folks.
It's not a Pakistani in this country, Pakistani all over the world
actually participating in this.
Yes.
And it is a big industry actually, if you look into that scenario. A lot of young folks, like doctors, engineers, IT professionals, and successful businessmen like you, they are moving back to Pakistan to participate in country's development because it's a huge market for foreign investment. But there are security concerns, but we see a tremendous improvement in that sector.
So you want Pakistani American to be engaged in promoting trade, commerce, investment.
That is correct.
That is what you want them to do. And also to lend their professional expertise to overcome some of the problems that the Pakistan faces today.
That is right.
And Indian diaspora community has done is a good example of what they have done to engage India to work together in US-India relationship.
Yeah, and there is one little gray area where we see
what is
India
that?
And India. I wanted to India and Pakistan work together.
Sure.
Work together in the United States to bring trade from both countries to United States, so that the progress in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, the progress in the region is actually the face of the region. So they should be working together while building the bridges with the United States, not like lobbying against either, just spending the effort.
So do you believe that the Pakistani young generations, those are the hope of tomorrow, are more inclined to work with the India and Pakistan relationship to promote this trade, investment, and commerce?
If you look in the public perspective in Pakistan,
yes,
they are very open for relationship with India. They, you see our actor and actresses, they openly go there.
Sure.
And they wanted to have open trade, the entertainment industry, and all different things that we need to have between the countries. But everything after 4 or 5 years, something happens and they fall apart.
Okay. Oh, that's the best.
So,
because
but the 90% of the population, these are the people, very small portion of the population who have the hater. We don't hate. We are the people who wants to work together, who wants to go free and frequently to each other, because if you are on the Kashmir, or you on the Punjab, or you in the Sindh, they have relatives across border, and the difficulty they face.
I have some relatives in Pakistan also, many. So my father's side, there are a lot of people who went to Pakistan after the partition. So I share with your views, but we need to work together.
Work together, and that is the way to go for.
This is the way forward. That's the path forward.
That's the path forward.
Now, as I understand, the Army chief just came in not too long ago to the U.S. Do you think he was able to achieve anything?
It was a very successful visit.
It was a successful visit.
And Pakistan Army chief met with the U.S. Government and military officials. As Pakistan expected, it presents a sea change in relationship between U.S. and Pakistan. And it sets a seal on military's commitment to fight terrorism under what form it is, what name it is, and under what flag it flies. So there is no discrimination. They want to root out all the militant and extremist elements from the region. So it was very successful visit by the Army chief.
So you looked forward to Pakistan that encourages exceptionalism and discourages and defeats what I consider the terrorism.
It's terrorism, and frankly speaking, it's a cancer.
It's the cancer.
We have to do some thorough surgery to take it out.
Thorough surgery.
It's surgery to take it out because it's not simple.
So what do you think of the immigration reform that President Obama signed? How would the Pakistani Americans will benefit from this? Can you tell the audience a little bit?
Sure. It will help not only the Pakistani families, but it will help all over the world.
Sure.
Immigrants which are coming which are here in America, and all the families whose children have the green card or the passport, they will be able to get benefit if the parents are out of status.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will be a great help for millions of people who are here in America.
Especially all these people.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not only for, but there are a lot of Pakistani family who are struggling with the statuses, and they will be able to get the benefits.
So before I wrap up this interview with you, do you have a last minute? Do you have anything to share with our audience?
Yes. The main thing I wanted to share is we, the people of Pakistan, we hate terrorism just like any other person, any other peaceful person in the world hates the terrorism. We believe that this is not Islam. It is portrayed. People use for their financial, their political, no matter what objectives they have, they use for that objective. But this is not Islam, and we are against these terrorist and extremist elements.
So you firmly believe that you need to root out the terrorism from Pakistan.
Everything that, most of those elements like Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, I don't know where they came from. Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, those, the people who killed, they don't look like Pakistanis.
So Uzbekistan is part of the Central Asia. They came from there?
The Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan are part of these militant groups who are fighting against Pakistan army.
Okay.
So we want to root out all the bad elements, no matter where they are, and
no matter where they come from.
We don't care, because this is not Islam and this is not Pakistan.
Well, thank you very much, Khurram, for coming over here and talking to us. We appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience will benefit from your talk and what you have to say.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Sure. This is Frank Islam wishing you a great week. Thank you for watching.